And the fact that you're saying that Black Lives Matter is kind of saying that black people are on one side and white people are on one side, Native Americans are on one side.
Like getting the definition wrong. Like we're not saying that only Black Lives Matter. We're saying that all lives do matter, but Black Lives Matter.
Are more important.
Black Lives Matter is a response to the growing crisis of the amount of like Black Americans like killed in the USA and in other countries. It's our response to that. So it's our response to the black people dying. And you said that why isn't there a Native American? There should be. White lives already does matter.
You just said we should be arguing for Native Americans.
Yeah, so
why can't we argue that human beings matter? Aren't Native Americans human beings? Because then we'll be opening it up to a wide range of races as well.
Also in America, if you're not white, they class you as black anyway. So it doesn't matter if you're saying Hispanic or Native American. If you're not white, you're black. Like that's how they see it. Like, if I'm mixed race, if I was to go to America, they wouldn't see me as being mixed race. They'll see me as being black. So that's just it.
White people lives still will matter, but your point about there shouldn't be a focus on white lives, because at the end of the day it's white boys that get into like high powers of government. It's white boys that get into become CEOs. It's not black boys.
Like, yeah, I feel like what you need to think of, you don't need to think of it as saying only Black Lives Matter. You need to think, oh, currently in the world we live in, white lives matter. But, you know, black lives, they're sacred as well. We need people to know that they matter. You're telling them that it matters. It doesn't, they're not treating it as if it matters right now.
So many points. I just want to say...
respect all views, remember?
Can't even think right now. Obviously, there's a lot of countries with, like, you know, white governments and stuff. And all those governments treat their people equally. You can see examples of this in, like, Eastern Europe, like countries like Poland, Hungary, like ex-communist countries, yeah? And a lot of their people, yeah, are treated unfairly. Like, for example, Poland, which is part of the European Union, what it does, yeah, is to stay friends with like countries like Germany and Britain, rich countries. It gives more basically rights to people from rich countries in Europe. So let's say you were an immigrant and you moved over to Poland, you would have stuff like, you know, a better education, free transport, stuff like that to try and encourage people to come to Poland. And they don't give their Polish citizens the same kind of treatment. So that's one example. If you were black and you went to Poland but you were from Britain, you would be treated better than somebody white that was from Poland. So that's just one example of a way that, you know, white people are, you know, kind of pushed down. So I'm just saying that it's not about race. Yeah, humans can be, you know, racist to another human. It's not about that. It's about who we are. That's why I'm arguing for all lives matter, not just black.
Do Black Lives Matter? We know all lives matter. But the question now is, do Black Lives Matter? Because if, for example, a young boy in America can be pulled out of his car for no apparent reason and then get shot in the back, then I think a question of do Black Lives Matter is key.
If somebody went, oh, you know what, like, we're sending soldiers out to wars which kill them and everything, you know what, soldiers' lives matter, nobody would go up to that person and say, oh no, soldiers' lives matter, but, you know, all lives matter. Like, if that's not the point, okay?
Feeling that the whole Black Lives Matter campaign only really started when you saw police actually taking black lives. And it's kind of funny because black lives have been going down from time. You know, back in like, you know, the days when there was a crack epidemic and then, you know, black people killing each other and then no one cares. But now you want to care when it's only police doing it. Like, it's a funny paradox that I think people need to get around.
Toby spoke about before how, you know, we're all people, race doesn't matter. And I want to pose the question, can reverse racism exist? Can people of colour be racist towards European people?
Yeah, what's the question again?
So, like, in the sense that the white people have the institutions behind them and the structures behind them and the racial structures. So I think in principle you probably can be like racist. In principle, you can probably, by definition, you can be racist to a white person. But I think if you look at it from a practical sense, you can't, because there's just so many like complex issues like following it, and like whether it means as much as it does. Because if I insult a white person, it's not gonna affect them. Yeah, they're gonna be hurt for an hour. Do you know what I'm saying?
Money.
racism isn't about the impact, it's about the intention that you have before you say or how you act. Like, I feel like black people will be racist to black people. I feel like white people can be racist to their own. You don't have to be a different race to not be racist. Like, you can be racist to your own people. It's all about the intention behind it. And I feel like from a contextual side, then yeah, it doesn't seem like black people can be racist because, you know, they're oppressed already, so let's get at the big guy. But if you just take young people that have no idea about what's going on in history and they're saying discriminating things based on the other person's race, then that's racist.
Touchy.
Okay, let's split it up here. So there's institutionalized racism, yeah, that's systematic, and there's personal prejudice. So if I say to you, you look like mayonnaise, yeah, that is not, no, it's not funny, guys, for some people that's not nice. You shouldn't tell people they look like mayonnaise. Do you get what I mean? You shouldn't like people to food. You don't do that, yeah? That's not a nice thing to say to someone. Okay, alright. Sorry that if you feel upset, you feel like mayonnaise for a day. That's upsetting. No, I'm not even trying to make a joke. That is upsetting. I want someone like me to food that I don't necessarily like. I mean, mayonnaise is kind of nice, but like, do you get what I mean? But then that's different to me saying than someone being like, okay, well, I've reached the quota for black women this year. This girl can't go to university. Then me saying to you something really mean. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm not saying that how you feel is less than how I might feel, but I'm saying it has a much bigger impact. If I say, oh my gosh, this white girl's always so late to school, she might be like, I'm not always late, that's not nice. It's because of that stereotype on black people, someone might be like, I might not employ this girl because her time management is going to be poor. That's kind of, do you get what I mean? There's personal prejudice and that's systematic. It's both hurtful, but obviously one has a much bigger impact on the outcome. The outcome is very different. You might feel upset, and that's not nice. You shouldn't say things to people based on their race in the first place. But if you want to talk about the outcome and the result of things, that is where I think it's worth a discussion, talking about the extent to which reverse racism is real, and also the prefix itself. To call something reverse racism infers that. Why is it not just racism? This is a question. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I don't believe it or do believe it. That's what I'm just saying. That difference between personal prejudice and systematic racism, I think it's something that needs to be spoken about. It's not like, yeah.
Cool. Rio.
Yeah, I'd agree that racism is something in terms of power, but then even having said that, there is many situations where black people have been in power. So there are black world leaders in African countries, and a specific example I can remember is Idi Amin, and how he was in power. He had power. He ran the country, but with his power, he decided to discriminate and to kick out and to basically terrorize the Indians who were in the country at the time. So all of them got kicked out. They lost their businesses. He didn't care where they went. Maybe it doesn't have as deep of a meaning because the history, I mean, Indians do have a history of racism towards them as well, but you can see that even racism as a power movement, black people can be in power and still use that as their advantage to demean another race. So it's a possibility anyway.
Listening to everyone talking against the fact that, or people who believe that black people can't be racist, tend to have this opinion that institutionalized racism is different to general racism, and I totally disagree. The fact that an institution is being racist to humans is no different. The fact that it's not as powerful, you don't have power behind it, doesn't mean it's not racism. So to answer the question, it's a simple yes. Black people can be racist to white people. It doesn't matter whether they have power or not. The fact that you have the intention, like she said, and the fact that you do it, you're racist.
The point here is that what happens to me when she says I look like mayonnaise is I go, oh, you know what? That hurt my feelings, and I go home, and then I go back to my life in which I am treated better because I am white. Whereas, if I say something racist to Tochi, if I say something akin to the same thing to Tochi then has to look at that and go, oh, you know what? Okay, I'm already treated worse for being black, and that is on top of that. That adds to the feeling. I don't know. I'm not black. I don't understand, and I can't understand. But I think there is certain power, and I think there is more power to institutionalized racism. And I think the power does give a huge effect. Like, there's a difference between flicking someone in the nose and punching them in the face.